I wanted to find a bank with a purpose. I wanted to find a place that would take my money and not use it to cause the financial crisis, but to fix the financial crisis and to help end income inequality.
The people that we employ are usually clients right off the streets. They don't have an account, but Amalgamated is willing to get that started for them.
Their reputation of supporting the working man, I think, speaks for itself. This is a bank that cares for their customers, and I appreciate that.
We were able to access a construction loan through the bank's programs, and that loan has helped us house 28 families in the community.
Amalgamated is a bank that was started for and about working people.
Many of our customers have a deep commitment to advocating for social and economic justice. We share that commitment, and we're not afraid to stand up and say that we need to change some of the way that the country does business.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline, Post-Election Donations Flood the Nonprofit Media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. You know, where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air because, remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Fancy pants peanut butter?
A big screen television.
You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me, you're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
The Russians decided that Donald Trump should be president, and they got what they wanted. Hey, hello, everybody. Wow. Is this weird or what? It's a Monday, December 12th. Good to see you today. Hope you had a great weekend. Probably very busy with holiday parties and holiday shopping. But I hope you had a little time off just to relax, recharge your batteries, and get ready to go here into another big week, the last full week. No, I guess the next to the last full week before December 25, moving into Christmas, getting very, very close. And the days are filled with holiday spirit, holiday shopping, and holiday parties. And the Bill Press Show rolls on and on through it all, with all of you. Here from Washington, D.C., getting to be a ghost town. House left, the Senate left, everybody's gone, but President's still here for another few days with another probably half a dozen holiday parties before he takes off. By the way, I mentioned I was at the White House for one of the press parties last Wednesday. There were 600 of us there. I found out Thursday night was the Congressional Ball, black tie. There were 1,350 people there, including many Republican members who have been attacking President Obama nonstop for the last 8 years, but showed up to get a free drink and a picture taken with the president. Such hypocrites. And the president was very generous and gracious through it all. Just had pictures taken with everybody, including liar, pants on fire, the guy who, South Carolina.
Joe Wilson.
Yeah. Can you imagine the audacity of showing up like that, right? Anyhow.
Yeah, that's gross. That really bothers me.
Really gross. But let's forget those guys. They're out of town. We'll have some fun here today. We got a lot going on. Good to see you and good to see our team all back. Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Good morning. Here we go. Ray Rogers, ready for your calls. 866-55-PRESS. That's how you reach us. So remember, it's a two-way street. It's a little town hall we got here going every day. We talk about the issues of the day. We talk about, not just me, you and I and our team here. You join the conversation by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS, or you can send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. And we're also looking at you on Free Speech TV, thanks to our good videographer, Cyprian Bolding. And on Free Speech TV, you'll see us coast to coast, or on our video stream, youtube.com/TheBillPressShow. Be sure to check it out. Be sure to sign up so you, too, get your updates every day. I've already got mine telling me that the show has started. That's good to know. Good to know. And by the way, this is a joyous season, and here is the best news of all that Donald Trump told us Friday night in Michigan.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, right? Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. They reminded me. We're going to start saying Merry Christmas again.
Oh, yeah, because we haven't said it for the last 8 years. A dumb thing to say.
It's like he's still fighting battles that have been fought.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
10 years ago.
He's not Bill O'Reilly, right? Even Bill O'Reilly has given up on the war on Christmas.
Seriously.
Yeah, Fox News hasn't talked about it for maybe 5 years, but no, Donald Trump's going to bring it back. Oh, thank God he won. So we can say Merry Christmas again.
Merry Christmas, Bill.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Happy Festivus.
That's it. You guys are both getting fines. You guys are both getting fines in the new in Trump's new America.
That's it. We got that Muslim out of the White House. We can say Merry Christmas.
That's right.
Again.
It's Merry Christmas, or you pay a large fine.
Oh boy, it's going to be a tough 4 years. Is it ever? We'll get through it today with the help of a lot of friends. Elias Isquith from Cafe.com joins us a little bit later in this hour, and then coming up, we've got some of the top reporters in from Politico, from AP, and from The Week. But first, this story about Russian hacking and what they were trying to do is absolutely incredible. Look, I read a lot of books, and every year, and one of my favorite kinds of books are spy novels. I love spy novels. You give me Daniel Silva, and I'm very, very happy. You give me the greatest of all, John le Carré, I'm very happy. I'm reading another Ted Bell spy novel right now. I love that genre of fiction, international spy novels. But none of the best ever wrote a spy novel as real and as scary as the one that we learned about this weekend, and it's for real. And the plot is that the Russian government interferes in an American election to tip the scales on behalf of one candidate to make sure that their favorite candidate gets elected. And guess what? They succeed, and here's the worst of it, they get away with it, and nobody does anything about it. That's what we are living through, friends, and it is scary as hell. Look, it was bad enough when the Supreme Court tipped the scales for George W. Bush in 2000 and stopped the recount in Florida and said, no, we're going to decide. We're not going to let the people of Florida decide. Yeah, but that was at least our own Supreme Court, right? This is a damn Russian government. And I think I don't know how you could miss it this weekend, but just in case you did. So back in the summer, when suddenly there was some hacking of DNC emails, and it came out that the DNC, who are supposed to be neutral in this primary, were actually helping Hillary Clinton and trying to undermine Bernie Sanders. And people said, whoa, man, this bad news, but how these emails get out there? Well, somebody was hacking into the DNC emails, and they said, it could have been Russia. Could have been Russia. Okay. Then later, the Clinton campaign itself, particularly emails of their chairman, John Podesta, are starting being released by WikiLeaks. But WikiLeaks wasn't doing the hacking. So then the question again was, who's doing the hacking? And at that time, 17, this is last September, 17 intelligence agencies concluded, they very seldom agree on anything. 17 intelligence agencies all got together. They looked at the evidence. They all concluded that the Russian government was probably involved in hacking the Clinton campaign emails and giving them to WikiLeaks in order to undermine, they said at the time, to undermine confidence in the American political system. In other words, just to create confusion, to create a little bit of chaos. All right. Now, again, nobody did anything. The White House didn't do anything. They told the Congress. The Congress didn't do anything. Last week, it gets even worse. Last week, the CIA goes in front of the leadership of Congress, and the CIA reports that they have concluded, based on all the evidence, that the Russian government was, in fact, interfering in this election, not just to sow confusion. They were interfering in this election in order to help elect Donald Trump. They were putting their finger on the scale. They were trying to tip the scale, tip the balance in favor of Donald Trump. And what happened? Well, way back we found out now, when the CIA first said that, remember I mentioned the White House, what did the White House do? The White House did nothing until a couple of days ago. Way back when the intelligence agency said, we think they're trying to sow confusion, the Congress said, no, we're not going to do anything. Mitch McConnell said, I don't believe it. And they buried it, did nothing. And now we know they were actually trying to influence the outcome of the election because they wanted Donald Trump to be president, and they got their way. And at this point now, President Obama has said, I want a complete investigation, and I want it by January 20 before I leave office. Well, it's about time. The Congress is still not done anything. A couple of members of Congress have called for, 4 senators, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, Chuck Schumer, Jack Reed from Rhode Island, John McCain, and Lindsey Graham have called for a complete nonpartisan investigation into this to find out exactly what happened and then to hold Russia accountable. Here's John McCain yesterday. If we got him? Yeah.
Clear the Russians interfered. Now, whether they intended to interfere to the degree that they were trying to elect a certain candidate, I think that's a subject of investigation.
Right. So, no action by Congress so far, but talk about an independent investigation. And by the way, can I just add, if there's anything that should be nonpartisan, if there's anything that should be bipartisan, it should be an investigation into whether or not a foreign government, I don't care what foreign government, whether it's China or Russia or North Korea, was trying to interfere in our democratic process, in our election, and influence that election. And by the way, God knows what influence they did have. It's impossible to measure. But at least let's get the intelligence agencies in, and let's get the information and the evidence they have out there in front of the American people so we can decide. And so White House has finally they launched their investigation. Congress is talking about one. How about Donald Trump? What does Donald Trump think about the fact that a foreign government has intervened, has tried to influence the outcome of this election? Donald Trump, is he going to take it seriously? Hell no. Here he is on Fox News with Chris Wallace.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's just another excuse. I don't believe it. I don't know why. And I think it's just, they talked about all sorts of things. Every week it's another excuse. We had a massive landslide victory, as you know, in the Electoral College. I guess the final numbers are now at 306, and she, down to a very low number. No, I don't believe that at all.
Ridiculous. What do you mean, ridiculous?
It would take us 3 hours just to pick that statement apart.
First of all, he throws the CIA under the bus, right? He throws all of our intelligence agencies under the bus because he doesn't believe them. And by the way, that massive electoral victory, he won the Electoral College, right? He lost the popular vote, let's be reminded, by over 2.5 million votes. But in terms of the last 10, I want to double check that. In terms of the last 10, I read it this morning from E.J. Dionne in the Washington Post. Donald Trump's margin of victory is like number 7. It's not the highest. It's like number 7. Okay?
Out of all of our elections,
Yeah.
I think it's like 46 out of 54, something like that, of presidential elections. I mean, it's...
Yeah. I mean, it's not the most massive.
It's not a landslide.
No. All right, but he won. Okay, I'm not going to quibble over that. But the idea that what he's saying is the intelligence agencies don't know what the hell they're talking about. Let me ask you this. What do you think his reaction would have been if the CIA evidence showed that Russia was trying to tilt the scales in favor of Hillary Clinton?
Can you imagine?
Yeah, we'd be at war. That's what he would want. He would want war. First of all, he would, of course, be still crying that the election was rigged, that the election was fixed. He would demand a recount. He would never accept the legitimacy of the election. So I wonder what we ought to do, knowing that Russia was trying to tilt it in Donald Trump's favor. I think it. I know this is going out there, but I'll go there. I think this puts in question the entire legitimacy of the Trump election and the Trump presidency. And until we have that bipartisan, nonpartisan investigation, and until we know exactly what Russia did and what influence they had, I'm not willing to accept Donald Trump as the legitimate next president of the United States. 866-55-PRESS. You weigh in as well. 866-55-55-PRESS. Or send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. This is serious stuff, folks. More serious than I think any. You talk about cyber warfare? Man, we are in it, and the Russians are winning. Let's talk about it.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline, Post-Election Donations Flood the Nonprofit Media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. You know, where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please, dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air because, remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is a toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
This is the Bill Press Show.
25 minutes after the hour. Yes, indeed. By the way, this ties into something else that Donald Trump, the idea that he would just dismiss the CIA, say they don't know what they're talking about, ties in with Donald Trump telling Chris Wallace, also on Fox News yesterday, that he doesn't need intelligence briefings. Why? Because he's smarter than they are. Here he is.
I get it when I need it.
But is there some skepticism?
First of all, these are very good people that are giving me the briefings. And I say, if something should change from this point, immediately call me. I'm available on 1 minute's notice.
Well, yeah.
I don't have to be told, I'm like a smart person.
Yeah, I'm smarter than they are. I don't have to be told anything. So, if there's a war, then call me.
Hit me on the hip.
But if they're just about warnings, but this whole attitude of this toward the intelligence agencies. Now, look, God knows that they've made mistakes in the past, right? I mean, they did tell us Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. But it's the job of the president. At least you get the warning, and then you push back and say, "I want the evidence. I want to see the evidence. I want to see the evidence."
It's called looking forward.
Yeah.
To try and prevent these
not
things
Donald
from
Trump.
happening.
Yeah.
We're on Twitter, by the way.
Pretty scary when they dismiss all the intelligence agencies and say, "I don't believe them. I don't want to listen to them."
We're on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. Gary says CIA agents should be very scared. CIA should warn assets that they're in danger of being outed by Trump for revenge, which is not something I'd thought about, but I certainly don't think he's above that.
I hadn't thought about that either, Gary. I think you're absolutely right. Let's say hello to David up in Huntington, New York. Hey, David, what do you think?
Hey, good morning, Bill. The head of the FBI should be investigated because he was well aware of all of these allegations of Russian involvement, and he did nothing. As a matter of fact, he dismissed them, and then he went out and went after Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely right. No, that's an excellent point. Yeah, David. No, you're still there? Yeah, right.
I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that Comey would look the other way, right? Because the FBI was investigating this as well. They would look the other way on what Russia was doing, knowing that they were up to no good, and yet come out and with this big explosive thing about Hillary's emails. Yeah. Talk about an agenda, right?
Yeah, he didn't put his thumb on the scale. He jumped on it with his full force. That's what he did.
Yeah, right. So he was willing to jump in and tilt the scales against Hillary, right? And by the way, members of Congress applauded him for that. They were only happy when he didn't put her in jail, right? But they didn't care. They didn't say anything at all. Didn't alert the public at all. Didn't make a big deal at all about the Russian spying. Again, why not? What does this mean when the president-elect of the United States says, "Oh, Russia was spying on our election"? Oh, I don't care.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline, Post-Election Donations Flood the Nonprofit Media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. You know, where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air because, remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
Same great show, new great channel. Stream live video at youtube.com/The Bill Press Show.
All right, at 33 minutes after the hour of the Bill Press Show on this Monday, December 12, rolling through the news, the stunning news that the CIA has concluded that Russia was indeed involved in trying to influence the outcome of this election, not just to sow confusion, influence the outcome of the election, and they succeeded. What are we going to do about it? Good to see you today. Good to have you with us as we come to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and our studio on Capitol Hill. And let me remind you one more time on this December 12, with 12 days left, shopping to Christmas. Go online and do your shopping, and no better place to start than our website, BillPressShow.com. And take a look at the very top for Carol Press scarves, and you could be the lucky owner of a beautiful scarf like the one I'm wearing right now. It's from the rayon chenille. I love these blue and green colors. There are lots of colors, lots of designs, lots of patterns to choose from. Many, many of you have already done so. Carol's been very busy running those packages to the post office. So get in line before they run out. Go to BillPressShow.com, Carol Press scarves, and order one of these, or several, for you and for loved ones in your family or among your friends. So back to this news about the CIA and Donald Trump just dismissing it as being ridiculous. And at least 4 members of the Senate have said this is one thing that where Republicans and Democrats ought to come together. You can't just sit back and let a foreign government, by the way, any foreign government, try to determine the outcome of an American election. If we allow that to happen, what do we believe in? Right? I mean, that we're willing to just throw our democracy out the window because Russia wants the election to go one way rather than the other way? And the question remains, what influence did they really have? We don't know. That's very, very hard to measure. But with sowing all that confusion, you know that sowed doubts in the minds of a number of voters, and based on that, they voted one way rather than the other.
Part of what
had to happen.
Part of what Trump said that's so wrong is, what a landslide this election was, which we talked about.
Yeah.
You're right. She won the popular vote. This was hardly a runaway election in terms of even the Electoral College. And so when you have something that close, everything matters. And that's why I think that it's fair to say that did she lose because of the Comey letter? No. But it certainly didn't help. And when you look at something like this, where Russia played a hand, it definitely,
we don't know,
did not help.
Did she lose because of the Russian successful attempts to sow confusion?
Didn't help.
Don't know. Yeah.
We're on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. Tracy Burge says, in summary, Trump praises Putin. Trump publicly urges Putin to hack the opponent. Putin hacks opponent. Trump wins. Trump denies Putin's role. I had forgotten about the time that he stood up there and said maybe the Russians can take a look and see what else was in her emails when they hacked into it. So, yeah, he did kind of call for it to happen.
That's an excellent summary of the whole thing right
there.
Yeah,
I mean,
excellent.
That's it. That's it in 5 seconds.
Right.
Matt says Trump and his henchmen are guilty of treason against the United States of America.
I don't think treason is too strong a word in this at all.
No.
Right. John, out in Minneapolis on KTNF, AM 950. Hey, John, what do you say?
Well, I do think it's a very, very serious issue. I think that our democracy is, for a variety of reasons that Peter outlined, we're really in a bad way. And, I don't think that it's that this is instrumental in causing the outcome, but there are just so many different issues: voter suppression, gerrymandering, you name it. Leaving the election to all these different counties instead of having, a very serious I think we should have paper ballots, and they should be counted like they are in every other country, and we ought to do away with the Electoral College. It is a 18th century thing to, keep control of the vote, of democracy. It's not needed anymore. We're intelligent enough to pick our own president. Right. And, it's our democracy is in a bad way, and I cannot accept Donald Trump. And in my heart, I cannot accept him as my president. This is an abomination.
Yeah, John, you're absolutely right. And all those factors that you mentioned, all of them, the voter suppression, the fact that they shortened the early voting time, the fact that they closed a lot of polling places, the fact that many states required ID. You can go on. The fact that James Comey released that letter. All of these factors, right? They were all factors in the outcome of this election. But all of them pale in significance to the fact that on top of all of that, you had a foreign government interfering in this election. That is, if you believe at all the CIA, the FBI, the National Director of Intelligence, and all of the 17 intelligence agencies whose entire job is to look into spying, particular cyber warfare these days, and figure out what's going on. Now, to make it even worse, right, John Bolton, whom Donald Trump has is already decided. He hasn't named a Secretary of State yet. We'll get to that in a second. But he said that John Bolton, who is crazy, certifiably insane, and the biggest hawk this country has ever seen, who thinks right now we should be at war with Iran, military, at war with Iran, in addition to a war in Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan. John Bolton is going to be number 2 at the State Department. He went so far. So Donald Trump says this is ridiculous. John Bolton takes it even a step further, and John Bolton says that maybe the CIA got this started in order to start this scandal, in order to discredit Donald Trump, if you can follow that logic. A big false flag operation.
We have to know the facts here, and it's not at all clear to me, just viewing this from the outside, that this hacking into the DNC and the RNC computers was not a false flag operation.
What?
Yeah. Now, what's his evidence of that? None, right?
Wow.
He's just throwing that out there. So now, to make matters even worse, and back, Peter, to I think was Kathy or whoever the comment. So we know now that Russia hacking, Russia trying to influence this election. So what does Donald Trump do? He turns around and names one of Vladimir Putin's best friend. He hasn't yet, but it's pretty clear he's going to do so. The head of Exxon as the next Secretary of State, who is one of Vladimir Putin's best buddies and has done more drilling, more oil production in Russia than any other company. He's been awarded and honored by the Russian government.
Yeah.
He's
deep into the pockets of Russia.
Deep into the pockets of Russia. So you've got a president-elect who praises Putin as a very strong leader, my kind of leader. Yeah, he's got a lot of control in Russia, Donald Trump says. Yeah, of course he does. Yeah, he's a dictator. There's no democracy in Russia. He puts his political opponents in jail if he doesn't execute them. Right? That's the kind of leader. So you've got Donald Trump praising Vladimir Putin and then appointing Putin's right-hand man in terms of the business community as his next Secretary of State. How then is the United States going to turn around and deal with Russia in terms of Syria or in terms of Ukraine? Or God knows what else Vladimir Putin's going to try to do now that he has succeeded in having his man in the White House.
What? I mean, what didn't he get, right? I mean, whatever Vladimir Putin wanted, he got this election.
Right. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, how can Donald Trump stand up? How can he stand up to them now once he bends over and lets them take over the election?
Yeah.
Boy, I got to tell you. I don't see any way out of it. Maybe Elias Isquith does. He's with Cafe.com. We're all scratching our head on this thing. But I want to come back to what I said at the very top. I think for all of us that this raises a question about the legitimacy of this election. The fact that Russia wanted Donald Trump to win, went out of their way to hack into these emails in order to help Donald Trump win, and they succeeded. Now, what are we going to do about it? 866-55-PRESS, Elias Isquith coming up next.
Why did the Russians run their smart intelligence service against Hillary's server, but their dumb intelligence services against the election?
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Video, Bill's commentary, the best clips from the show, all in one place. YouTube.com/The Bill Press Show.
Here we go now. It's 13 minutes before the top of the hour on this Monday, December 12th. And I guess from now on, what we ought to do is just, why even hold an election, right? Let's just ask the head of the Russian government, okay, who do you want in, right? We want to be sure that that we don't put anybody in there that you don't want. Yeah, that's what it's come down to. They wanted Donald Trump, and, man, they went out of their way to get him, and they won. Elias Isquith joining us on Cafe.com, executive editor. Elias, what can we do about this? Donald Trump just says, oh, it's ridiculous. Right?
Good morning, comrades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, the first thing we can do is joke about it, because what else can you do? But you can either laugh or cry.
This is what we do.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You could weep, right? Yeah.
Right. So I guess we could crack jokes about how Hillary should have, made more time to speak with the working class of Moscow or something when she was campaigning. I got a few more, but I'll save them. More seriously, I think that a lot of us are going to be put in the very uncomfortable position where I'm personally at, where as a left-wing person and someone who has been knows that American foreign policy, especially over the past 60 years or so, has often been less than moral. But still, I'm now in the awkward position of feeling like I'm on Team CIA. And that's not something I'm used to.
No.
But, and that's not something a lot of people rightfully are going to be comfortable with, which I think makes a lot of sense. But the thing that's on my mind, I'm wondering what you guys think, is I'd rather have a CIA that dislikes Donald Trump than one that likes him. A CIA that's doing everything Donald Trump likes is, to me, even scarier. So I think, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I've been a big critic of the CIA, as have you, I'm sure, right? And we know that they really got it wrong in Iraq, right, with the weapons of mass destruction. They got it wrong on September 11, no inkling of what was going to happen. But so it's not that they always get it right, not for sure, but to dismiss them entirely and say, I just don't believe them, I don't trust them. We're talking about 17, right, different intelligence agencies, to throw them all under the bus. And then say you have such little respect for them that you're not even going to go to the daily intelligence briefings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a know-nothing president, which is dangerous, right?
Absolutely. And what I think people should keep in mind, if we understand Trump through the prism of sort of, as an authoritarian, and I personally think that's the best way to understand him, the things authoritarians tend to do historically is they look at where, centers of resistance to their rule might be. And a big threat for an authoritarian would be an institution that at least has a reputation of being nonpartisan and a reputation of being sort of above the fray. So it makes all the sense in the world that Donald Trump and his people would immediately kind of go nuclear on the intelligence community, which, again, Bill's totally right, is not at all perfect and has a very blemished track record. But at the same time, right now they stand as a real serious point of opposition to Trump. And so I think people, we're in a tough situation where we have to balance moment by moment, which devil do we prefer? And right now, I'd prefer the intelligence community.
I mean, one thing that I did find heartening is that Chuck Schumer, Jack Reed, John McCain, and Lindsey Graham did join forces to say this should be above politics, a nonpartisan, complete investigation, a congressional investigation of this. Boy, if anything ever called for it, it's the charge that Russia was trying to influence the outcome of our election. Right?
Absolutely. It feels, it feels a little bit like history repeating itself because it's like 15 plus years ago, and suddenly I feel fondness towards John McCain, which I think a lot of Democrats are experiencing for the first time in a long time. It's really important to have, even though everybody knows that McCain and Graham have long been enemies with Trump. Yeah, I mean, McCain is one of the most famous incidents of Trump breaking the rules, the thing he said about McCain. It's really valuable, even if it's just two guys. We've seen after the past 8 years that McConnell used it to devastating effect how much bipartisanship matters as a symbolic force. Having that against Trump, I think, is really valuable. And tip your hat to the two of them, because there are going to be a lot of people in their party who are going to have their knives out for both of them.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, this is really where the rubber meets the road, right? Like, you're going to find out who really cares about democracy.
But this is a tough one, and I would hope, like you, I get your point exactly. Great to have McCain and Lindsey Graham, and not taking anything away from them. But I would hope that some of the other Trumpers even, right, or more conservative Republicans, you'll never hope for Mitch McConnell because, after all, his wife got a job from Trump. He's not going to criticize Trump, right? Yep. But maybe a John Cornyn, I don't know, maybe they'd be asking for too much, or a Bob Corker, or some others, just sort of say, we want to know the facts here. And that's our job, right?
I agree. It's necessary. We can't just have the Graham and McCain. That's a start. As I'm sure a lot of your listeners and you are aware, famously, when Nixon knew the jig was up was when Goldwater told him.
Right.
It's going to take more than two guys, and we are going to find out who thinks that, I mean, it's unbelievable that we're talking about this, but we're going to find out which Republicans are more interested in winning or more interested in their country, frankly.
Or saving the country and saving our democracy. I really think that's exactly where it is. It is that serious. Okay. Well, on that sober note, Elias, we'll let you go and try to figure it all out. Great to talk to you as always. Thanks, Elias.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Cafe.com executive editor.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees?
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Being prepared is a part of who you are. But it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, indeed. Hey, how about that Trump cabinet shaping up enemies of everything we believe in?
By the way, update on the story we talked about on Friday. Former New Orleans Saints football player Will Smith, who was shot in a road rage incident over the weekend. A guilty verdict was reached in New Orleans. Cardell Hayes is the man who was found guilty of manslaughter in the shooting case of Will Smith. It was after an accident. They both got out of the car. They both had guns, and Cardell Hayes shot Will Smith.
Long time tracking him down, but they did. Brought him to justice and a guilty verdict.
Yep, guilty verdict over the weekend.
Well, finally,
justice.
One example of justice, if we can believe it, right? Yeah, when we come back, let's take a look at some of these outrageous cabinet appointments of Donald Trump.
This
Top the
is
next
the
hour.
Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline, Post-Election Donations Flood the Nonprofit Media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. You know, where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air because, remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hey, Hard, what's this? That's my resignation letter. You're resigning. Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Yeah, who won the election on November 8th? Well, now we know Russia did. That's what the CIA says. They interfered. They wanted Donald Trump to win, and they got their way. Hey, hello, everybody. With that disturbing bit of news, we jump into a whole new week here on the Bill Press Show this Monday, December 12th. How about it? Great to see you today. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of the program. And hope you jump in with both feet into the discussion today. This is really, really important stuff we're talking about on the Bill Press Show, and we look forward to your comments. You know how to do it. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS or send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Either way, join the conversation and let us know what you think are the implications of the CIA reporting that Russia, in fact, did want to influence the outcome of the election. They weren't just trying to sow seeds of confusion. They were trying to make sure to tilt the scales toward Donald Trump, and they succeeded in it. And now the question is, what are we going to do about it? Will Russia be held accountable, or will we do just what Donald Trump wants us to do and forget all about it and say, oh, that's ridiculous. We just don't believe it. Face the facts or dismiss it? Big question here on this Monday, December 12th. Again, good to see you today. We have our entire team in place for such an important day. Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson.
Hello, Bill.
Good morning.
You know, some days there's nothing to talk about. Other days, oh, my God.
This is what we call an embarrassment of riches.
This could not be. I mean, this is cyber warfare.
Yeah.
This is cyber warfare at its worst. All the talk about it. This is it. I remember one of the very first interviews that President Obama gave when he got to the White House with John Harwood, then with CNBC, maybe he still is. And John Harwood said, what keeps you up at night? I was really thrown. This was 8 years ago. And President Obama right away said cyber warfare.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa, that's strange. Nobody even thinks about cyber warfare, right? At that time, nobody was talking about it. Well, man, we're in it right now. Ray Rogers is ready for your calls at 866-55-PRESS in Cyprian Building, on the job as our videographer. So with that, we're looking at you and looking good on Free Speech TV, as well as our video stream, youtube.com/The Bill Press Show. We're going to start out talking about the Donald Trump cabinet and some of the worst picks, I think, that we could even imagine. Worse than we thought for his cabinet. But I thought Claire McCaskill, Democratic Senator from Missouri, summed it up. This is what we're looking for, or Donald Trump is looking for, in his cabinet, at least based on what we've seen so far.
I call it the 3G cabinet: Goldman, generals, and gazillionaires. And I think it's one of those things that for someone who has worked around the world for profit, it is different than working around the world to make sure we have strong alliances.
And, of course, she's referring there to the almost certainty that Donald Trump is going to name Rex Tillerson, the president of ExxonMobil, as the next Secretary of State. But I thought her point is, we've seen this. Generals, 3 of them, Goldman Sachs, 2 of them so far, with others being considered, and a gazillionaire, several gazillionaires, Steve Mnuchin at Treasury, Betsy DeVos at Education, and, of course...
I mean, every cabinet pick that I can think of
Tillerson.
That he's picked so far goes into one of those categories.
Goldman, generals, and gazillionaires.
Yeah.
I can't think of any that don't fit into that.
I can't either. Even
Right.
Ben Carson, not a gazillionaire maybe, but he's worth $25 million, as reported this morning. So, yeah, let's not feel
That's
sorry.
not funny money.
Exactly.
You know?
Don't feel sorry for him. Lots of good people coming up. Seung Min Kim, who covers Congress for Politico, will be here at the half hour. In the next hour, Ryan Cooper from The Week and Josh Lederman, who covers the White House for Associated Press. Yeah, let's take a look at these some of these gazillionaires. Here's the pattern that we've seen. And look, let's start out. We've got to accept this fact that to the victor go the spoils. Donald Trump wins the Electoral College. He will be the next president of the United States. He gets to pick whomever the hell he wants in his cabinet, okay? I do not doubt that, do not question that for a second. They are subject to Senate confirmation, of course, so it just can't be anybody. But we have to accept the fact that when Trump wins, and we lose, then we're not going to be happy with his cabinet picks in general. But I never thought they'd be this bad, honest. Because what the pattern that we've seen with Donald Trump is, he is taking every single agency, and I think there's been a deliberate effort on the part of the Trump team and Trump himself to take a look at every single agency and say, okay, what is the mission of this department or this agency? What is its historic mission? What has it tried to accomplish for decades under Republican and Democratic presidents? What is the essence of this agency? And then he's appointed the person to head that agency who is the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do. It's a wrecking ball. It's absolutely the wrecking ball that he has taken to every one of these agencies. And we've seen it now, and this pattern continues. So we saw it, I think, first with Tom Price, congressman from Georgia. Okay, he is the leading enemy of the Affordable Care Act, the leading enemy of universal health care, so you appoint him to head HHS. All right? Then you get education. Betsy DeVos is the leading enemy of public schools. She thinks public schools ought to be wiped out, just replace them with charter schools or homeschooling or religious schools and give all the money to them. No public schools. Doesn't matter. And you take her and you name her the Secretary of Education. Here we go. Ben Carson? Okay. Ben Carson, the enemy of public housing. He said it's no good. It makes people dependent on the government. It's been a total failure. affordable housing. No, Ben Carson against it. You take him and you make him the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. It goes on. Last week we talked about this one. Okay, what's the EPA all about, right? Protecting the environment, protecting public health. Created by Richard Nixon, Republican, because at one time even Republicans thought the environment was worth protecting.
Weird, right?
Kind of weird, yeah. So today you get a guy who is the exact enemy of EPA, who thinks EPA ought to be shut down, who is a climate change denier, who is the #1 lobbyist and friend of the fossil fuel industry, as Attorney General of Oklahoma, a guy named Scott Pruitt, and you put him in charge of EPA to shut it down. All right? You get the point, right? I mean, every hen house now has a fox in charge of it. All right.
And one of the biggest problems with this, by the way, is that Trump has already indicated that he doesn't have much interest in actually,
running the government. Well, first, he's going to be too busy producing The Celebrity Apprentice.
That's right. I mean,
because Arnold Schwarzenegger needs some help. And so,
he's got a really big title.
No. We're not joking. He is still going to continue with his name on as a producer, executive producer of The Celebrity Apprentice.
And which is crazy. And now that he's sort of indicated that he has no real interest in running the government or getting into these departments, these people are going to have free reign.
Yeah.
These cabinet leaders are going to be able to do whatever they want with those departments.
Hey, if he's not going to be going to daily intelligence briefings, he's not going to be talking to these cabinet members every day. Right.
No way.
All right. But anyhow, the list continues. We're just building up. So the latest we haven't had a chance to talk about yet is Department of Labor. Again, what's the Secretary of Labor? What's the Department of Labor all about? It is about fighting for American workers. It's about standing up for American workers and their rights and their opportunities and their ability to get a good job at a good living wage. So, and that's sort of exemplified today by the fast food workers, right, who have started this whole movement saying, wait a minute, guys, $7.25, you can't make a living on $7.25. If you're still in poverty at $7.25, at least, at a bare minimum, the minimum wage ought to be $15. And that's created this whole fast food movement. So, again, per Donald Trump's pattern, what do? You take the head of a fast food chain, Andrew Puzner, head of Hardee's, and you put him in charge of the Department of Labor. The guy who is anti-working men and women, whether they're union members or not. He's certainly anti-union. So here's Andrew Puzner. By the way, he believes there should be no minimum wage. He doesn't pay the minimum wage. He doesn't believe that workers ought to have paid sick leave. He thinks that President Obama's new rules on overtime, he has said all this, his new rules on overtime are anti-business. He wants to undo those. He's also, by the way, a climate change denier. So the idea of any new jobs in clean energy, building solar panels or whatever, or wind, no, he's not going to be for that at all. He is also totally for automation. He has said, in fact, about machines and why they're better. Yeah. Why machines are better than human beings on the assembly line. He says because machines are, quote, always polite. They always upsell. They never take a vacation. They never show up late. There's never a slip and fall or an age, sex, or race discrimination case. So for all of those reasons, I'd rather have machines than people doing the jobs. This is the guy that Donald Trump has named Secretary of Labor, anti-working men and women.
We've spent so much time talking about the working class voters and how they weren't served very well in this election and how a lot of them went to Donald Trump. The fight for 15, the minimum wage fight between fast food workers and trying to get that fair wage has been the most visible rift between those voters and the rest of America.
Yeah.
And he just put somebody in charge who is so against it.
And your point, all of these things, these are the programs that help working families in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin. Those working men and women, white middle class workers who voted for Donald Trump. He has just stabbed them in the back.
Yeah.
All these things, all these programs they depend on, they want, they need, right, are all on the chopping block because he put the enemy of working class Americans in as Secretary of Labor. And now you get to Mr. Tillerson as Secretary of State. I want to be sure, I'm just blanking on his, I want to be sure on, yeah, it is Rex. I said Rex, I want to be sure. Rex Tillerson. Yeah. So you take a guy who is Vladimir Putin's best friend. Now, we're not at war with Russia, but you got to say our relations with Russia are about as bad as they have been in the last 20 years, for sure, right? And this is Russia who seized Crimea, who still has troops in eastern Ukraine, and who has joined forces with our enemy, the President Assad of Syria. And as Secretary of State, Donald Trump is probably going to announce today the head of ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson, will be the new Secretary of State, who is Vladimir Putin's best friend. And Donald Trump says, oh, of course, we don't need a diplomat. What we need is a real businessman.
To me, a great advantage is he knows many of the players, and he knows them well. He does massive deals in Russia. He does massive deals for the company, not for himself, for the company.
He's the Secretary of State.
No, but I have tremendous respect for him. He's a world-class player.
I'm trying to get you to say
But I have others. I know you are.
Yeah, there is tremendous respect because he's done what kind of deals has he done, right? He's done deals to basically pollute the environment and to drill for oil and produce oil and gas, more deals than anybody else in Russia and all around the world. But, even Claire McCaskill made this point, too. There's a difference between doing business deals and
diplomacy.
Yes. And negotiating serious agreements with these governments. Do we have Claire McCaskill there, Jamie? Where she said that.
For Vladimir Putin, who is a thug and a bully and has the friends around the globe that we don't want to be friends with, for him to be trying to impact our elections, he has to be held accountable.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't her that said that. Obviously, that wasn't quote. But anyhow, she did make somebody made the point. There's a big difference. But so I guess the point I'm trying to make is that this cabinet is worse than we ever thought it would be. It is against everything we believe in, everything we stand for, and everything we have gained in this country over the last 50 years. And it's all now on the chopping block because Donald Trump has brought in the wrecking ball, and one by one he's putting people in these positions in charge of each agency whose primary mission is to destroy them and to undo everything that's been accomplished. Oh, how do we survive this? I don't know. Canada's looking better and better. 866-55-PRESS. I'll tell you one thing. I would just hope that we can count on members of Congress to ask some tough questions and not to automatically confirm every one of these appointees. Do you think that's possible? 866-55-PRESS. Your comments coming up.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline, Post-Election Donations Flood the Nonprofit Media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. Where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air, because remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
Getting closer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
27 minutes after the hour, taking a look at this Trump cabinet and their mission, of course, as I mentioned, to undo, undermine, destroy every agency that they have been named to head. And we didn't even mention the fact that John Bolton, who was such a disaster as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations under George W. Bush, will be the number 2 man at the Department of State. Here we go with Jamie and a comment from down in Florida. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. Thank you. Yeah, what do you think?
I'm very confused about some of these things. Because, like, for instance, with the Voss person and wants to take public schools and make them private. Well, does that mean that I don't have to pay property taxes anymore because my money goes to public funding of schools? Yeah. And I don't want my money going to, some whack job charter school. Plus, down here in Florida, we've had a few that have opened, taken the money and run. and then the kids don't have any school to go to.
Yeah. Jamie, that's an excellent question. And I'm sure they haven't thought that through. I hate to have to run, but we're out of time here. But we'll see how that all plays out. That's just one of the complications they haven't thought about
This
yet.
is the Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline, Post-Election Donations Flood the Nonprofit Media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. Where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air because, remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
Same great show, new great channel. Stream live video at youtube.com/The Bill Press Show.
Here we go now, 33 minutes after the hour on this Monday, December 12, getting close to the big day of Christmas. And I know you're just wondering, my God, what can I get my wife, my husband, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, whatever. That's always a problem at this time of year. Here's the answer. Go to our website, BillPressShow.com, and check out the Carol Press scarves like this beautiful one I'm wearing. This is one of my favorites. Men or women could easily wear this. Black with gold little boxes on it. I love this scarf. There are many colors, many shapes, and designs to choose from for men and women. This is rayon chenille. She also makes them in bamboo. Every one hand-woven by Carol. Every one a work of art. Check them out. Go to our website, BillPressShow.com. Go to Carol Press Scarves. And with that note on your shopping, for your shopping pleasure, we turn back to the news of the day and what Congress might do about the report that the CIA made to them that Russia was, in fact, interfering, hacking into our election system, not just to sow some confusion, but actually to try to influence the outcome of the election in favor of Donald Trump. Seung Kim covers the Congress for Politico and is kind enough to join us in studio this morning. Hi, Seung, nice to see you.
Good morning.
But before we get to that, Congress is gone now, right?
They are gone.
And they did not shut down the government on their way out.
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
Almost did. But,
almost did, right. And it was the conflict came in the Senate right at the very end over a couple of issues. Minors' pensions, money for Flint, Michigan, and maybe drought money in California.
Yeah, so there are a couple of, so there were two bills actually moving in the last minute in the Senate. So one was the government funding bill needed to make sure the federal government doesn't shut down. And the second was this major sweeping water resources development bill and both had already passed the House. Now, the more urgent one was the spending bill because there would be a shutdown otherwise. But the water measure was important as well because it contained that aid for Flint, Michigan. And the problem with that bill wasn't the Flint aid exactly, but there was problems between the way that water policy for the state of California was structured. So that actually created a clash between Barbara Boxer
and Dianne
Feinstein.
Yeah, right.
Dianne Feinstein did not attend Barbara Boxer's farewell speech on the floor. I don't know how intense it got there. But there was also the lack of so-called Buy America provisions in the water development bill, and that also got Senate Democrats a bit steamed about the measure. But everything worked out. It passed very late or very early Saturday morning. And
so both bills passed?
Both bills passed, yes.
So the money for Flint, Michigan did go through?
Yes, it did.
House and Senate?
House and Senate, yes.
All right. Good. We had our good friend, Congressman Dan Kildee from Flint, Michigan, in last week, and it was still not certain it would pass.
Yeah, because it was wrapped up in everything else.
Minors' pensions?
So what happened? So that was
Joe
part of
Manchin, I know, was planning on maybe shutting down the government over that.
So that was the problem in the government funding bill, and the Trump administration had indicated to Congress that they want a short-term resolution so they can kind of have their own stamp on government spending next year. So the current government funding now runs through the end of April. The problem that came, besides the fact that no one really likes these continuing resolution CRs, is a terrible way to operate the federal government. All those points aside, what really got Joe Manchin and a lot of these other coal states, Senate Democrats, really angry was that they felt there weren't enough sufficient provisions in there that dealt with minors' health care benefits and pensions. So basically what happens is these benefits for coal miner workers expires at December 31st. They've been getting notices that their health care benefits were disappearing 3 months in advance before they expire. So they've been getting these notices already saying, look, your benefits are going to disappear unless Congress does something. Mitch McConnell worked in some provisions. So basically it would extend the health care benefits for 4 months, basically the length of the CR. And Joe Manchin, Sherrod Brown, others demanded a much longer extension of benefits, perhaps a year. They were looking at a bill that had actually passed on a bipartisan basis on the Finance Committee that took care of healthcare benefits and also pension benefits. And they were willing to kind of keep us in suspense until the end, because what happens is that it didn't appear they had the votes to stop this.
Yeah.
You would need 41, obviously, in the Senate. But because of the way the timing worked out, if you say, I'm not going to agree to speed this vote up before the government shutdown deadline, then like the government funding could lapse for a few days.
But both bills passed.
And
so they're done.
They're done.
And
They're out of
the
here.
government is chugging along at least for the next 4 months.
And then we'll see what kind of crisis we find ourselves in mid-April.
Right.
So
Now, the crisis of the moment is a report last week by the CIA that the CIA, maybe not all the intelligence agencies, has concluded all of them agree that Russia was involved in trying to influence the election, or maybe sow confusion in some way. Maybe originally it was to sow confusion.
Mm-hmm.
The CIA has gone further and saying, no, they were just not trying to stir things up. They actually wanted to help Donald Trump win. At least, two Republicans, one led by John McCain and Lindsey Graham, have said this requires some congressional action. Here is John McCain.
Clear the Russians interfered. Now, whether they intended to interfere to the degree that they were trying to elect a certain candidate, I think that's a subject of investigation.
And that investigation has been called on for by McCain and Lindsey Graham and Chuck Schumer and Jack Reed. Mm-hmm. So 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. What are you hearing from members of Congress? Is there support across the board for this kind of an investigation?
Well, what's kind of interesting is that...
Pardon me if I can, just because we know that Donald Trump has said, it's ridiculous.
He's called it ridiculous. He's called it an excuse from Democrats. He has said he said that on Fox News yesterday, and he also said in the interview that Time Magazine did for its Person of the Year feature. I think the quote was like, "It could have been Russia, it could have been China, it could have been some dude in his basement in New Jersey." Like he's really trying to cast doubt on the fact that the Russians were meddling in this election. But now you have these 4 senators, very 4 powerful, influential voices in each of their parties. And what was interesting is that statement came out early yesterday morning. Obviously, you had a lot of senators on the Sunday shows talking, just about the news of the week. And you had a few more voices come out and say, look, I support their calls for an investigation. This should not be a partisan issue. So Rand Paul, who was on one of the shows yesterday, said, look, I support an investigation. I think this needs to be looked into. I believe James Langford tweeted yesterday, who's a Republican from Oklahoma, that he supported the effort from these four senators. And we'll see if more calls come out as the week goes. But I think the fact that these 4 senators, they made it a point to be like, we're Republicans and Democrats. We're trying not to make this into a partisan issue. We'll see how much that increases the pressure on other senators, particularly Mitch McConnell, who's having a news conference with us later today, where he will almost surely be asked about the calls for an investigation, what he believes in terms of Russia's influence in the election, and all the other related questions that we have.
All right. Isn't it true that if Mitch McConnell doesn't want an investigation, there will be no investigation?
Pretty much. In John McCain's ideal world, he talked yesterday about wanting even a official select committee to investigate this. Now, that would actually require a vote to set this up. Obviously, Mitch McConnell would have control over that. But I think
he wouldn't even allow a vote, right?
We would have to ask him today to see what he says. But I'm not quite sure what he will say when we ask him these questions later today, because obviously now very powerful voices in his party are talking about an investigation. But if you look over on the House side, we asked Speaker Ryan about this yesterday, or his aides about this, and he said his spokeswoman released a statement saying we agree that this cybersecurity issues, potential foreign interference is not a partisan issue, but he did not say he would support calls for an investigation, which I think is a very important note to distinguish, and maybe Mitch McConnell would go along
because he doesn't want to cross Donald Trump. And I want to go back to let's be totally crass about Mitch McConnell. His wife got a job from right. She's the secretary.
She has been. She's nominated for Secretary of Transportation.
Yes, right? Yeah. Okay. So there's no way Mitch McConnell's going to cross Donald Trump.
We'll see what he says later today.
Let's just be honest. He's not. Right.
And that was one
Donald
of
Trump will take the job away from Elaine Chao.
One of the points that was made in that very explosive report by the Post last week when it talked about the CIA assessment was they had some details about a classified briefing that was attended by Mitch McConnell where he raised doubts on the veracity of these issues. Right. Now, we've asked Senator McConnell's office for a comment on that. They refused to say anything, citing the classified nature of the briefings. But that's also something that he's going to have to face in the coming days as well.
So we'll take a break here, but let me just sum up, I think, what you're telling us. That the CIA now is saying, again, that Russia deliberately interfered in this election, cyber warfare, hacking, in order to influence the outcome, tip the scales on behalf of Donald Trump. And it's possible that the United States Congress will do nothing about it.
It is very possible, yes.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. 866-55-PRESS. Yeah. What do we come to?
That stinks.
Bend over for Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. 866-55-PRESS. Let's talk about it. Seung Min Kim here. Don't shoot the messenger.
I'm just here to report and pass on info.
She's just telling us what she
reports.
Learned
you decide
from these members of Congress. We'll be right back.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Every day when I was 5, my older sister would play teacher. Her students were me, my stuffed rabbit, and an American Girl doll. She'd line us up at the end of the bed and teach us whatever she'd learned in school that day. Now she teaches ESL at an elementary school in Boston, and every week she tells me stories about her students. Anna does not know how to read in Spanish, much less English, but she still wants to be a writer when she grows up. Juan chooses to stay inside and study at recess so that one day he'll be able to teach his own brother. These kids are good organs in a sick body. In 2001, No Child Left Behind gutted bilingual education. Students who have been in the country for 1 year are now expected to perform at grade level on standardized English tests. My sister is not allowed to instruct them in Spanish. If the kids don't jump high enough, the school loses money. Improving a school by picking its pockets is like tuning a guitar by ripping off the strings. Learning to read in a new language before you can even read in your own is like learning to walk while a pit bull is chasing you. Like learning to sing with the conductor's fist down your throat. This year for my sister's birthday, I got books for her students. A poem on one page in Spanish, the next in English. She is not allowed to help them read the first. Their heritage is a banned book. Learning to read in a new language when you can't even read in your own is like trying to heal a burn victim by drowning them. We are telling these children who have spent their whole lives in the deep end that they'll learn how to swim if they just float out a little farther. In the 1980s, American slaughterhouses began building corrals in curves so no animals could see the blood at the end of the tracks. This is how we kept them moving forward. In 2001, we began building the hallways of our schools in curves. This is how we keep them moving forward. You never learn, you fail the test. You never learn, you fail the test. You never learn, you drop out. I know. I am lucky enough to be one of the winners of this game. I was handed a head start and a rule book in my own tongue, but the winners of a rigged game should not get to write the rules. On the television, some senator preaches that throwing money at an urban school is like feeding caviar to your dog. They just won't know how to appreciate it. After all, if these parents can't take care of their own children, why should we? Well, tell that to Anna, who has my sister translate newsletters aloud to her father because he too was never taught how to read. Tell that to Juan, whose mother and baby brother are still in Guatemala, whose father works 3 jobs. My sister tells me school is the most stable place in these kids' lives. She has been a teacher since she was smaller than they are. But since when does being a teacher mean having to swear not to help? Since when does being a teacher mean having your hands tied while the schoolhouse burns to the ground? We are leading these children along a track built in circles as their lungs fill with smoke, telling them it is their fault. They can't find a way out.
Dylan Garrity from Slam MN.
And online, This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go now at 12 minutes before the top of the hour with Seung Kim, who covers the Congress for Politico here in studio with us, Politico.com. So this whole question about Russian interference in the election and whether or not there might be an independent, bipartisan, or nonpartisan investigation is sort of then compounded by the fact that rumors are Donald Trump is going to name as his Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, CEO of ExxonMobil, who is one of Vladimir Putin's best buddies. Certainly,
apparently an actual personal friend of Vladimir Putin.
Not only has done so much business,
sure, yeah,
right, but in Russia, but has become a close personal friend. I had dinner with him and all that kind of stuff, right? So that raised the question about will this impact Tillerson's chances of getting confirmed? Certainly, one senator, Rand Paul, yesterday said, "Yeah, I got some questions."
You know, I'm going to reserve judgment on Tillerson, but I'll ask him the same question I've asked the others. Do you understand the historic lesson that the Iraq War was a failure, a strategic mistake? That's what Donald Trump says.
Yeah. And what about your ties with Vladimir Putin? That's certainly going to be...
by the way, Marco Rubio also, being a, quote, friend of Vladimir is not an attribute I am hoping for from Secretary of State. He sent that tweet yesterday.
And I believe McCain himself has said, I have some questions and concerns about those ties.
All three former presidential candidates, not necessarily against Trump, but,
Sure.
I mean, they've all been in this position.
Mm-hmm. So I think... look, so the Republicans will control 52 seats next year. You only need 51 to get confirmed, but that means your margin is really narrow for these controversial candidates to get confirmed. And you already have Rubio expressing concerns. Rand Paul has questions. And Rand Paul actually not only has questions about Tillerson and kind of the standard issues that he will raise in a confirmation hearing, but you have to remember the plan for the Trump administration right now is to pair Rex Tillerson with John Bolton as Deputy Secretary of State, and Rand Paul has huge problems with John Bolton. So if it's seen as kind of a package deal, then maybe Paul would raise even more objections to both of the nominees.
Right. Just say here's Rand Paul on John Bolton yesterday.
I do know that John Bolton doesn't get it. He still believes in regime change. He's still a big cheerleader for the Iraq War. He's promoted a nuclear attack by Israel on Iran.
Yeah. Nice guy to have at state. But
So that's going to be really...
So that's not going to be an easy confirmation.
Exactly.
Here.
And I'm curious whether he never ultimately nominates him, because if you saw Donald Trump's comments during the Fox News interview, he wasn't so adamant about saying anything about Tillerson one way or the other. And then he sent out a tweet. I mean, that's kind of the way he communicates these days with it. He said something like, whether I nominate Rex Tillerson for state or not, he's still a very great businessman, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, but he's just playing games.
So we'll see.
We'll see, right? We don't know. He's not, in fact, the cable news this morning is all over the place. Like Fox is saying he's going to nominate, and the others are just saying he may nominate.
Yeah. I just don't think
in that
we
interview,
know.
he kept Mitt Romney and a couple of other names alive as well. But he could be just playing games with us.
Yeah, that's very possible. But
Right.
it's of the people who have been floated, or who have been named as potential Secretary of State picks, I mean, it's pretty clear he would have the most obvious problems getting through the Senate.
Of all of the appointees.
Of all of the discussed people,
Right.
just because of the Russia ties.
One that we did not talk about earlier today, Peter, when we were going through the cabinet member, those who've been named, who seem to be have the total opposite viewpoint of where these agencies have been going, like EPA and Labor and others, is Attorney General with Jeff Sessions, who thinks the Voting Rights Act, he called it an intrusive act, right? Not a big supporter of it. And yet it's been the historic mission of the Department of Justice since 1965, I guess, to enforce the Voting Rights Act. Jeff Sessions, a cinch for being confirmed?
For now, yes. I think Democrats are really looking into his record and hoping that something else emerges from during the confirmation hearings that could hurt the nomination. But look, there's just the standard deference that senators show to one another when they're elevated to a cabinet position. There's the fact that no Republican has said he or she would oppose Senator Sessions for Attorney General, including people who have disagreed with him, very much on policy issues such as Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona and Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. You have Joe Manchin saying he would be on board with him for AG, which means if Joe Manchin's on board, you'll probably see a few more red state Senate Dems support him. So I don't see, barring some major explosive revelation that none of us knew about, which seems unlikely considering he's had such a long career in public life. I don't think that nomination is in trouble.
Right. You can't exaggerate, I think, the differences between Donald Trump and traditional Republicans, or Donald Trump and the Republican Party, right? So are Republicans in Congress overall generally going to go along with Donald Trump, or do you think they'll really challenge him?
It depends on the issue, and this is why this Russia issue is so fascinating. It's really been the first time since the election, and granted, like Donald Trump has said a lot of eyebrow-raising things since he was elected, but this is really the first time that Republicans in Congress are pushing back.
Right.
So we'll see how much that continues.
Okay. Well, you're right there in the heart of the action, Seung Kim. Thank you. Great work over there,
Thank you.
and thanks for your time this morning. We'll keep up with you. Happy holidays, too.
Happy holidays.
We'll come back and tell you what the president is up to today. Party, 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 party. This is the time of the year.
It's not at all clear to me, just viewing this from the outside, that this hacking into the DNC and the RNC computers was not a false flag operation.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
All right, we got one of those presidential post-election days again today. President Obama is just kicking back and wrapping things up, but very quietly with no public meetings. Today, he gets the intelligence briefing to which he will attend. Unlike Donald Trump, he's got the briefing this morning and then meetings the rest of the day, all private meetings, no public meetings. They'll have a party at the White House tonight for other members of the press corps who weren't there last week. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. The whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
That's
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
I wanted to find a bank with a purpose. I wanted to find a place that would take my money and not use it to cause the financial crisis, but to fix the financial crisis and to help end income inequality.
The people that we employ are usually clients right off the streets. They don't have an account, but Amalgamated is willing to get that started for them.
Their reputation supporting the working man, I think, speaks for itself. This is a bank that cares for their customers, and I appreciate that.
We were able to access a construction loan through the bank's programs, and that loan has helped us house 28 families in the community.
Amalgamated is a bank that was started for and about working people.
Many of our customers have a deep commitment to advocating for social and economic justice. We share that commitment, and we're not afraid to stand up and say that we need to change some of the way that the country does business.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
The most important issue on this planet right now is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the world's oceans. And I don't think people realize just how intimate our connection is with the oceans themselves. Not only do they provide the very foundation of life and control our weather, but life just simply could not exist without a healthy ocean. The real problem, though, is apathy. It's all out of sight, it's all out of mind, and people don't even think about it. But it doesn't matter whether you live in Peoria or on the coast. The fact is, whatever happens in the ocean affects all life forms on the planet Earth. If the oceans die, then civilization collapses. We all die. We cannot live on this planet without the oceans. This is, in fact, not the planet Earth. It's the planet ocean, but because we're a land-dwelling species, we refer to it as Earth. But it is the planet ocean, and the oceans are the heart and the foundation of all life on the planet.
You taught him how to hit a baseball.
Just like that. Say hi!
How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
On your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
No doubt now about who won the election on November 8th. The big winner, Vladimir Putin. Yeah, the hacking worked. Hello, everybody. What do you say? No doubt about it. According to the CIA, they wanted Donald Trump to win. They hacked into the Clinton campaign emails and the DNC. They put all that information out there in order to help Donald Trump win, and they did it. Now the question is, what are we going to do about it? And that's been the big topic this morning here on the Bill Press Show, and continues as we roll into hour number 3 here on this Monday, December 12. How about it? Great to see you today, and we are proud and happy to welcome you to this edition of the Bill Press Show. Hope you had a good weekend, ready to jump with both feet into the news of the week, and there is certainly big news to talk about. You can join the conversation, and we encourage you to do so by giving us a holler at 866-55-PRESS, our toll-free number, 866-55-PRESS. Your comments on Twitter welcome as well, at BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/The Bill Press Show. And remember, we got this coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station, Radioland. We got it covered. We're coming to you live on Free Speech TV, on cable television, coast to coast. We got it covered. Also coming to you live on our video stream, youtube.com/The Bill Press Show, where we encourage you, and so many of you have, for which we're very grateful. If you haven't already, just check it out. Doesn't take any time at all. and you'll see a link right there. Just subscribe, sign up for the Bill Press Show. And we will be sending, even over the weekend, man, I was getting little things from the Bill Press Show about new video that was up, new little news flashes.
We never rest.
So, that's it.
Can I tell you something, by the way?
You got to be plugged in here.
We are this close from 2,000 subscribers, so go on and go do it. We need more subscribers.
Okay.
We're very close to a new
milestone. Do it
milestone.
today. Put us over that
Let's do
new
it.
milestone, 2,000 mark.
Let's do it.
And also, you ought to sign up for our podcast, right, Peter?
On iTunes, just search for The Bill Press Show inside iTunes. You can download a version of the show, which we shorten up for you so that you can listen to it every day. It doesn't take 3 hours. Just go get it in iTunes, download it on your
40
phone.
minutes. It's the crystallization, right, of the best of Bill Press.
Yeah, it's only the good stuff. And you can take it on your phone, anywhere you want to go. Just download it. You can take it with you on an airplane, to the gym, wherever.
All right. There you go.
Great.
There you go. No excuses for following the Bill Press Show. And we value very, very much your friendship and your support. Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson are the leaders of our team here today, as every day. Thank you.
Hey,
good morning.
How about it with Ray Rogers? Very critical, ready to take your call. Member of the team, and ready to take your calls at 866-55-PRESS with Cyprian Bolding. The power behind the throne here. Our videographer, without Cyprian, we wouldn't be looking at you on Free Speech TV or on our video stream. And we mentioned just before the last, at the end of the last hour, President Obama's schedule today. That one big thing of the schedule is that he gets a daily briefing, which he never misses, no matter where he is, traveling around the world on vacation. He begins the day just like President George W. Bush did, just like Bill Clinton did, just like George H.W. Bush did, just like Ronald Reagan did. You go back, they start their briefing. The intelligence agencies, director usually of the CIA or his top deputy, they're in there and they tell the president, these are the threats around the world that you should be aware of, Mr. President, because there's nothing more important than keeping America safe. You would think that anybody who's elected president of the United States would take this seriously. You think wrong when you think about Donald Trump. He told Chris Wallace on Fox News yesterday, he doesn't need him because he knows more than they do.
I get it when I need it.
But is there some skepticism?
First of all, these are very good people that are giving me the briefings.
Oh yeah.
And I say,
right.
if something should change from this point, immediately call me. I'm available on 1 minute's notice. I don't have to be told, I'm like a smart person. I don't have to be told the same thing and the same words every single day for the next 8 years. Could be 8 years, but 8 years. I don't need that.
I don't.
I'm like a smart person.
I don't need intelligence briefings, right? So really what he is saying is he doesn't want to know about any threats that are heading our way. He doesn't want to know about anything until after it happens. And then it's too late, and then he wants to know about it. I mean, this is really scary.
And
really scary.
You could say that, right? And most of the time presidents would be like, no, that's not the case. We're not waiting to see what happens before we react. That is that's verbatim what he said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's his defense of it.
I'm like a smart person.
So he's smarter than
Who's he trying to convince?
He is smarter than the intelligence agencies, and he is also, of course, smarter than the CIA. Right? I'm intelligent and smarter than the generals, too, he also said. Right? So I don't know why he appoints any cabinet members at all. Why doesn't he just... He said, I alone can fix it. Why doesn't he just single-handedly run the government? There's so much troubling about this, what we've seen about Donald Trump. And starting with, by the way, Josh Lederman from Associated Press will be joining us about halfway through the hour here. But we start today with the biggest news of all. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. And I mentioned, I love spy novels, okay? I read a lot of books, but I really like that genre, spy novels. And there's some of the best out there, right? Daniel Silva is a friend of mine, writes great stuff. Ted Bell, another friend of mine, great stuff. I'm reading another book of his right now. I mean, the master, Jean Le Carré. You take any of them, they're gripping, right? They're really fun reads. They get your mind all this in international intrigue. But nobody has ever written a spy novel like we are living through today. And if they wrote it, you would think, oh, this is unbelievable. What? That Russia could hack their way into the Americans' election system? That Russia could actually interfere in one of our presidential elections to try to throw the election for one candidate and against another candidate? That Russia could actually do this and pull it off and be successful and win, and then that the United States would do nothing about it, that the president would do nothing about it, that the Congress would do nothing about it? That's what we're living through, friends and neighbors, right now. That is what's happening. It is, I'm not exaggerating at all. That is it. According to the CIA, they reported, Washington Post first reported this on Friday. They told Congress last week that when they said last summer that Russia was in fact intervening in this election because they were trying to sow confusion and maybe undermine our Americans' confidence in the election system, that they were wrong. The CIA now says, they were hacking indeed, but not just to sow confusion. They were hacking into our election system because they wanted Donald Trump to win, and they wanted to do anything they could to help him win. That's what the CIA says. Now, the FBI doesn't go quite that far. The FBI says, yes, they were hacking. We know at least they were trying to undermine the confidence in the election. They're not ready to join the CIA in saying that was their intent, but the CIA is. The FBI says they haven't made the direct link between somebody in the Kremlin calling somebody up. But this is serious stuff. This has never happened before. And what's appalling is not only that it happened, but we can't even get agreement on what ought to be done about it. The White House, who knew about this since last summer and did nothing, President Obama has finally said, I want my people to look into it, and I want to report back on my desk by January 20 before I leave office. Well, thank you, Mr. President, but a little late to the feast there, I think. A little too late, if you ask me. As far as the incoming president, Donald Trump, he says the whole thing is nonsense. He told Chris Wallace yesterday on Fox News Sunday, here he is.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's just another excuse. I don't believe it. I don't know why. And I think it's just, they talked about all sorts of things. Every week it's another excuse. We had a massive landslide victory, as you know, in the Electoral College.
No, you didn't.
I guess the final numbers are now at 306, and she, down to a very low number. No, I don't believe that at all.
No, I know.
That's not...
Okay.
That's not what landslide means?
He won the Electoral College, but it was not a massive landslide, and it was not a historic victory. There have been, he's way down the list in terms of margins in the Electoral College. But at any rate, the main thing is just to dismiss it as ridiculous. Throwing the entire CIA under the bus, saying they don't know what they're talking about. I'm smarter than they are. And at least, now then, it goes to Congress. And when Congress was first told about this, Mitch McConnell, last summer, that Russia was intervening here, Mitch McConnell said, oh, no, I don't believe that, and I don't want to do anything about it, and I don't want that finding to be made public. Well, the CIA, the Washington...
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell just squashed it. Washington Post found out about it, the latest report, that, again, Russia was trying to influence the outcome of the election, not just sow confusion. And the Washington Post reported that last week. And at last, we're getting some demands on the part of Republicans and Democrats in Congress, at least 4 of them, Chuck Schumer and Jack Reed from Rhode Island, 2 Democrats, and John McCain and Lindsey Graham, 2 Republicans, have come out and said, this is so serious. We've never seen anything like this before. This is cyber warfare at its worst, that to protect our democracy, we need a nonpartisan special committee investigation in the Congress to look into this, to see exactly what happened and what we should do about it to hold Russia accountable. Here, just a few minutes ago on CBS Morning News this morning, first Senator John McCain.
There's no doubt about the hacking. Let's establish that. I was hacked into. My campaign in 2008 was hacked into, so there's no doubt about the hacking. Then the question is about the intention, but it's all part of the larger issue of the cyber threat we face from Russia, China, and other countries. It's another form of warfare, and the entire issue is going to be examined by the Armed Services Committee because it's a threat to our national security.
Yeah, so at least there'll be an Armed Services Committee investigation. Hopefully, this major bipartisan special committee. Chuck Schumer, following John McCain on CBS this morning, also issuing that same call.
When a foreign power tries to influence our election or damage our economy, for that matter, this is serious. It's gotten worse. And a bipartisan investigation that's not aimed at one specific instance but looks at the broad scope of this is just what's needed. You have, the CIA saying one thing. I haven't gotten the briefings yet. I'm not yet minority leader. The FBI something else. We need to get to the bottom of this in a fair, nonpartisan, non-finger-pointing way.
How can you disagree with that? If there's anything that you would think members of both parties should be able to get together on, it is to agree that we don't want any foreign power, whether it's Russia or China or Nicaragua, interfering in our election to try to throw it one way or the other.
By the way, one person who we haven't mentioned yet, who deserves a large amount of grief, is Paul Ryan.
Oh,
because Paul Ryan, remember, one of his big defenses of supporting Donald Trump throughout the entire campaign was, we have to have checks and balances. We're going to have a lot of oversight. The House will have oversight over Donald Trump should he become president. We'll make sure that all the rules are abided by. We'll make sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And then over the weekend, he put out a statement that said he's very troubled by this, but there will be no probe. There will be no investigation in the House.
Right. And, by the way, let's not let Mitch McConnell off the hook.
No!
There probably will not be such an investigation in the Senate because Mitch McConnell, who originally, again, squashed this when it was first reported to Congress, said, I don't want this to be made public, the fact that Russia was involved in hacking, which 17 intelligence agencies all agree on. And it's now up to Mitch McConnell on whether or not such a panel that McCain and Lindsey Graham and Chuck Schumer and Jack Reed are calling for, whether that will be even voted on in the Senate. And the chances are probably 0 to none, because let's remember that Mitch McConnell's wife has been named, Elaine Chao, has been named Donald Trump's Secretary of Transportation. So, of course, neither Mitch McConnell nor Paul Ryan are going to support such an investigation. And so we may be left with the fact that Russia deliberately intervened in our election to influence the outcome to help Donald Trump get elected. They succeeded, and it looks like the United States will do nothing about it. Let's take a quick break. Your call's welcome at 866-55-PRESS. Could it get even worse than that? Oh, yeah. Wait till you hear whom Donald Trump is thinking about naming as Secretary of State.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you. And I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline. Post-election donations flood the nonprofit media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. Where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air, because remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
This is the Bill Press Show.
25 minutes after the hour, Josh Lederman from AP joining us at the half hour. Trump is up. He's up. He's awake and tweeting.
He's up. Here are some recent tweets. It just happened over the break. Donald Trump, can you imagine if the election results were the opposite and we tried to play the Russia CIA card? It would be called conspiracy theory. And then goes on to say, unless you catch quote-unquote hackers in the act, it is very hard to determine who was doing the hacking. Why wasn't this brought up before the election? Well, it was brought up before the election, dummy.
Yeah, and again, imagine the reaction, Donald Trump's reaction, if it were found that Russia was trying to influence the election to help Hillary Clinton get elected and succeeded. We'll get into more of this with Josh Lederman from AP in the next half hour. One thing very, very important also we have to mention, it's been reported now that Rick Perry, former governor of Texas, is the leading candidate to be the new Secretary of Energy. Back in 2011, here's Rick Perry.
It's 3 agencies of government when I get there that are gone. Commerce, education, and the, what's the third one there? Let's see. 5. Okay. So commerce, education, and the EPA? EPA. There you go. No, okay.
Let's talk deposition. Seriously? Is EPA the one you were talking about? Or?
No, sir. No, sir.
No,
we were talking about the agencies of government. EPA needs to be rebuilt.
But
There's no doubt about that.
You can't name the third one?
The third agency of government, I would do away with the education, commerce, and let's see. I can't. The third. Sorry.
Oops. Energy.
It was energy that he was trying to think.
It was energy he was trying to think of. Rick Perry. And it's also been reported that the Trump team has now circulated a 70-page questionnaire to people who now work at the Department of Energy, asking them, they want the names. They want the names of anybody who attended any meetings on climate change in this country or around the world or at the United Nations, clearly indicating that those people who attended any meeting on climate change are going to be purged out of their jobs at the Department of Energy by the president, who says that climate change is nothing but a hoax perpetuated by the Chinese against the United States. Oh, my God. Josh Lederman joins us next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Final week of this winter pledge drive, and we call on you one more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times, a headline, Post-Election Donations Flood the Nonprofit Media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. You know, where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air, because remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
Same great show, new great channel. Stream live video at youtube.com/The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour. Here we go, the Bill Press Show. You know, we do many good things for you every day, and I'm going to do one of the biggest favors of all for you right now, and relieve the stress that you may be facing about what to buy a good friend of yours or yourself for the holidays, for Christmas, or for Hanukkah. Look at me wearing one of these beautiful scarves. You too could have one. And it's easy to get. Just go. These are hand-woven scarves by my wife, Carol Press. I love this black and gold, but there are many different colors and shapes and designs to choose from. Go to our website, BillPressShow.com, and click on Carol Press Scarves, and you will see lots of beautiful scarves there, either rayon chenille like this one or bamboo scarves. Perfect gift for yourself or for someone you love. They're beautiful. They're warm, and each one is hand-woven by Carol at our little studio in back of the house. Check it out today. Well, the big news we've been talking about all day, of course, is the news by the CIA, report by the CIA to the United States Congress, that they have determined that Russia was indeed involved in hacking in order to not just to sow confusion about this this year's presidential election, but to actually tilt the scales in support of Donald Trump. That finally got some reaction from the White House. Josh Lederman covers the White House for Associated Press, sitting right in the middle of the front row every day, and he's here to tell us all about it. Hello, Josh.
Hey, Bill. Great to be here.
Good to see you. Thank you. So what is the White House doing about this, and who's leading it, and when's it all due?
Well, the White House has been in a bit of a difficult position because they don't want to be seen as trying to exact retribution against Trump for his victory or to suggest to play into the calls from a lot of Democrats to try to invalidate the election results or somehow say that this was, actually a Clinton win that was stolen from her. At the same time, Obama really doesn't want to be missing in action when it comes to foreign interference in elections. So he's called for this investigation. He wants the results from the intelligence community before he leaves office on January 20th. It's a little unclear whether that is feasible on such a short time frame, or at least he can get the ball rolling. We're getting calls now, bipartisan calls on the Hill for some type of a select committee or a congressional investigation. But I think what the president is trying to do is say, look, we're not going to sit quietly and just let Russia or another country interfere in our election, particularly given the concerns that Trump is not going to be as tough on Russia as the Obama administration has been.
You mentioned Russia, and we've been focusing on Russia at the press briefing, as you know, on Friday. Deputy Press Secretary Eric Schultz said it's not going to be limited to that. Here he is.
We will be looking at all foreign actors in any attempt to interfere with the elections.
And just to reinforce your point, Eric went on to say we're not trying to invalidate the election.
So we're not calling into question the election results. We are taking seriously our responsibility to protect the integrity of those elections.
So are there potentially other countries involved? I mean, its focus has been exclusively on Russia so far.
There have been no indications from the administration or from the intelligence community that there's anyone else that was at hand here. Really, the only suggestions of that have come from Trump and Republicans. Trump has said maybe it was China, maybe it was some guy in his bed in New Jersey. And we have John Bolton, who was out over the weekend on another network saying that maybe it was a false flag, basically implying that the Obama administration had hacked itself in order to blame it on Russia, which is not something that we see any evidence of.
Right. You have to say, the Obama administration, this first came to light with the DNC, hacking of the DNC emails, which led to the downfall of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So, and even then, there was rumors that this was Russia that was involved. The Obama administration did nothing during that time. They did nothing. They said nothing when John Podesta's emails were being hacked, again, with implications that Russia was behind it. So now they're calling for an investigation in the middle of December. A little, too late, maybe?
Well, there's some whiplash there. There was definitely a lot of concern during the election that if Obama tried to intervene in a big public way against Russia, that it would look like he was unfairly trying to put his thumb on the scale for Hillary. He was really trying to stay out of that. Also concerns about what kind of a reaction it would provoke from Russia. But I think the concerns about provoking a reaction from Russia have been lowered comparatively to the threat of, letting the Trump administration come in with sort of a free hand to buddy up with Russia. And now I think the Obama administration on the way out is trying to set down a marker that the United States does not tolerate this kind of stuff and at least put that evidence out there.
Now,
it's also become pretty clear that we just, for a long time, haven't wanted any trouble from Russia.
Right.
When Mitt Romney was running for president, he called them out as maybe our biggest geopolitical foe. And he got laughed out of the election, certainly. I mean, he's obviously become president, but nobody took that seriously at the time. And yet, here we are, and it looks like he was more right than wrong.
Right. Yeah. At the same time, the Obama administration is still trying to work with Russia on a whole host of other issues, most notably a ceasefire in Syria. So it's not like they can just say, these guys are bad actors, we're done dealing with them.
We heard what Eric Schultz said about not questioning the results, but if this turns out that they really were bad actors in this place and they really could have had some influence, could it possibly raise the question of the legitimacy of this election?
Well, it's unclear, A, whether there was any interference that would have actually swayed the results enough to make a difference.
Yeah.
The other thing that's
it's hard to measure that, too.
Very hard to measure that, yeah. The other thing that has been hard for the intelligence community to put their finger on is what exactly was the intent? Was the intent to help Trump or just to undermine the credibility of the election as a whole?
And that's where it seems that the CIA and the FBI differ, that the CIA has said definitely to influence the outcome. The FBI, we're not quite sure yet. Right.
Exactly.
So, so when you add all of this up, we've talked about the response on the part of the White House. Donald Trump's response, of course, is just to say, "Oh, it's ridiculous," the whole thing, basically throwing the CIA under the bus. For a president-elect to dismiss the work of the intelligence agencies, that's pretty serious stuff.
It's stunning and alarming. Just in the past few minutes, Trump was tweeting that, what if the tables were reversed and I had lost and I was trying to play the CIA card, to which a lot of people are probably going to say, the CIA is not a card that the president or a candidate plays. It's an intelligence agency, one that's relatively respected, that comes up with assessments about what they think is going on. So it's difficult to see, coming into the administration how President-elect Trump's going to have a real functional relationship with, one of the highest intelligence agencies that he's basically been calling into question the veracity of their assumptions in the last few days.
So normally, that leads to my next question, that normally, no matter whether Republican or Democrat, the president's principal point of contact with the intelligence agencies is the daily intelligence briefing. Jamie, if we have Chris Wallace ask President-elect Trump about that on Fox News Sunday yesterday, and Trump's classic response.
I get it when I need it.
But is there some skepticism?
First of all, these are very good people that are giving me the briefings. Yeah. And I say, if something should change from this point, immediately call me. I'm available on 1 minute's notice. I don't have to be told, I'm like a smart person. I don't have to be told the same thing and the same words every single day for the next 8 years. Could be 8 years, but 8 years. I don't need that.
Call me if you need me, but don't bother me with these daily briefings.
I don't need that. The end of that clip, I don't need that. Oh, man.
I don't need that.
One could see this maybe being different if it was someone like Clinton or someone else who'd gotten a lot of these kind of briefings in the past, already kind of had a base level of understanding about what's probably in the reports and just needs kind of updates on it. But for Trump, there's an immense amount of information that he wouldn't have been privy to prior to being elected president, that it doesn't seem like he's probably had a chance to absorb all of that from this few briefings that he's had.
No, right. He's had like 2 or 3, but since he's been elected, right? You would think there's to be a wealth, as you say, a wealth of information all around the world that nobody is privy to except the president and the vice president, maybe, right? That you want to at least get up to speed, you know? And he's not even done that. But like we gave a little earlier, the president's schedule, as you know, because you follow it more closely than we, for the last couple of weeks, the only thing on his schedule has been the daily briefing, and then he's got other private meetings, right? Not a lot of public events these days.
Right.
But even so, he did and George W. Bush did. They all got that daily briefing.
Right. And one of the things, when Trump argues that, he let me know if anything changes. A lot of times the value of the PDB, as they call it, the President's Daily Briefing, is that you get information that you don't necessarily know at that moment is going to become crucial, but it informs you so that later when something comes up, you already sort of have the background on it, and we're tracking the threats as they emerged until the level where you needed to act on it. So, one would think he'd want that kind of comprehensive understanding.
So we're probably going to see in this next administration, the daily briefing will not be on the daily schedule.
Well, we don't know. I mean, it's possible that Trump wants to take it once he's inaugurated, but doesn't want to do it now. I mean, we really don't know.
Or he could delegate it to somebody else, right?
Ostensibly, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he say, I think part of that interview was that
that Mike Pence was getting
Mike Pence would get it. Yeah, so I've got other things to do. Like I've got to run Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah,
How
right.
can I do the daily
Right.
briefing? Catching up on the White House, what's going on now, and what things might look in the next administration with Josh Lederman from Associated Press, AP.org, AP.org, and we'll take a quick break. If you have a question or a comment for Josh, give us a call at 866-55-PRESS.
I'm like a smart person.
All right, here we go. Final
Connect
week
with the
of
Bill
this
Press
winter
Show on
pledge
Twitter.
drive,
Follow
and we
us at
call on you
BP
one
Show.
more time to step up to the plate. Hello, everybody. Bill Press here on Free Speech TV with all of you, and I don't know whether you saw. Good news. This is from the Friday New York Times. A headline: Post-election donations flood the nonprofit media. And what it talks about is the fact that after November 8th, progressives are just so stunned and looking for something positive they can do. Where do they turn? More and more people are turning to nonprofit media and saying this is one way we can do something real, do something specific, do something concrete to counter Donald Trump and to keep the progressive message going. And money has been flooding into the Center for Public Integrity, to ProPublica, and there should be one other on the list, right? How about Free Speech TV? That's the point. Your progressive network, the one that you depend on every day, one that you go to for what the news of what's happening that day, plus all the progressive insights from those of us who are hosts on the network, me and Tom Hartman and Stephanie and Amy Goodman and David Packman and all the rest, and all of our guests. It's the only place you can find it, the only progressive cable channel anywhere in the country. Deserves your support, needs your support, and now is the time to do it, to fight back against the dark forces of Donald Trump. This is one real thing you can do. So please dig in with your pledge and be as generous as you can. Any pledge is helpful to keep us on the air because, remember, Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. It's only you that keep Free Speech TV going. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, we'll send you a Free Speech TV calendar for 2017 with pictures of all your favorite hosts. For a $120 pledge, very exciting, and a copy of that book, Rules for Revolutionaries, and a copy of the new book, The Revolution Where You Live. For a $200 pledge, a 2-DVD set on plutocracy, how we went from democracy to plutocracy. A $240 pledge gets you a 6-DVD set on capitalism and the history of it. $360 pledge, the whole enchilada, Free Speech TV calendar, and copy of Rules for Revolutionaries, as well as The Revolution Where You Live. And for $1,000, again, a very special treat. Get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will treat you to dinner and bring you in to meet the whole team and be part of the show the next morning. Make your pledge today. Again, this is something real you can do to fight the dark forces of Donald Trump. 877-378-8669 is the toll-free number, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Do it today. Do it right now. And thank you for your pledge.
Same great show, new great channel. Stream live video at youtube.com/The Bill Press Show.
At 12 minutes now before the top of the hour, we have a new administration coming in, but President Obama is still there until January 20. Josh Lederman covers the White House no matter who is sitting in the Oval Office for Associated Press. Josh, what's President Obama up to for the downhill slide here? Any challenges, or is it just running out the clock?
Well, that's been certainly a much slower pace for the president than he's been used to over the last 8 years. They have some stuff that they're trying to, tie up some loose ends. Over the weekend, the Defense Department announced they were sending a couple hundred additional Special Forces troops to Syria. So he's still managing, military conflicts and foreign affairs. But there's certainly not a lot of new stuff on the domestic agenda that the president has any real ability to influence over the next few weeks.
And leaving a lot of things undone, not because he didn't try, but TPP, nowhere, immigration reform, nowhere.
Right.
Climate change, nowhere. So
right. And at the end of last week, we had the largest admission to date by the administration that they're not going to be able to close Guantanamo Bay, essentially saying, look, our hands are tied by Congress to bring these final detainees to the U.S. or transport them elsewhere. So, there's a reckoning that's taking place that a lot of these things that they hoped they might, wrap up just at the very end may not be happening. One thing that may happen that may see in January is some pardons, typical thing for administrations to do in their final days.
Right. Now, the last
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, sure will.
Right.
It'll be very interesting.
Okay. Edward Snowden holding out.
I wouldn't hold out for that.
By the way,
one.
I did see today that there have been enough signatures on a petition that the White House has to respond to the request for a pardon for Chelsea Manning.
Right.
I guess I don't forget how many signatures you need right now. But
I think it's 100,000 or something
right.
like that. I could write the administration's response for you, which is going to be go talk to the Justice Department because they're the ones that process these things. But the three high-profile requests have been Chelsea Manning, Edward Snowden, and Bo Bergdahl, who the soldier from Afghanistan.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, and he'll probably have to make a decision on each one of them.
Right.
Yeah, right. So the last time I saw you was at the White House Christmas party for the media party last Wednesday evening. It was a great party. And the buzz at that party was, well, we all wanted to come because this is the last Christmas party with President Obama, holiday party with President Obama, and maybe even the last holiday party ever. What do you think is going to be the relationship? We know Donald Trump is no big fan of the media. What is going to be like covering the Trump White House, do you think?
I think there are some conflicting predictions about how this will work out. Certainly it's going to be more combative, adversarial. He's not afraid to very openly call out media that he doesn't like. We saw even just last night he was going after NBC's nightly news. So I think that the media is bracing for more open revolt between the White House and the press. On the other hand,
will he hold news conferences?
We don't know. I mean, in certain ways, he's actually been more transparent than a lot. I mean, he's tended to take questions. He likes to sort of get in the mud and engage.
But a formal news conference, in the East Room, like we've had with President Obama?
We don't know. He maybe will just give, a lot of interviews to one network or the other, and sort of hard to tell.
He's not going to have the daily press intelligence briefings, it appears, not from what I told Chris Wallace yesterday. There's another briefing that usually takes place once a day at the White House, the daily press briefing. There's no requirement for the White House to do that, nothing in law. Do you think they'll continue?
I think they will probably find it useful to continue it, if only because it's as we all know, it's the place where they are able to dispense with questions that would otherwise be nagging them all day long. So it tends to be more efficient for them than having to get 50,000 emails from reporters all day long about what's happening with Russia, what else. But as you mentioned, the press briefing, having the White House, the press in the White House, having the press on Air Force One, these are all traditions. They're not in statute anywhere, and certainly the administration could dispense with them if they chose to.
Newt Gingrich said he ought to just disband the White House press corps.
Yeah, well, Newt Gingrich says a lot of things sometimes, but
unlikely they'll do that.
It probably depends on who he picks as his press secretary.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
All right. Breaking news now. Can we have some breaking news right now on the Bill Press Show from Josh Lederman? Who is going to be the next White House press secretary?
Well, I hate to break it to you, Bill. I don't think it's going to be you.
Oh, no.
man.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
I really worked hard on that resume,
I know.
too.
I know.
I covered up all the liberal stuff. I just...
Right. We don't know. We know that there's been discussions with Laura Ingraham, which would be probably concerning for a lot of reporters, and that she tends to be pretty outspoken in her criticism of the mainstream media. We know that there had been discussions with Kellyanne Conway for some type of a communications role.
Yeah.
Looks like she probably won't take that. And there's also been a lot of speculation that Sean Spicer, the Republican National Committee spokesman and communications director, could also be considered for that role.
Or Jason Miller, maybe, who's press
who's a
secretary
spokesman for the
Right.
campaign. Also a possibility.
It's interesting that I'd have to go back and see when the press secretary was named in previous administrations, but I find it interesting that we're this close now to the end of the year, and
Right.
we really don't know.
We don't. We do know one thing that maybe is heartening for some reporters is that the transition team has been holding a daily conference call with reporters, not a televised briefing, but at least a step in that direction. They're answering questions on the record once a day, which is at least,
Yeah, that's a good step.
Yeah.
Right. Josh Lederman, great to see you, my friend. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Happy holidays. All right, we'll see you early in 2017.
All right, you got it.
We got it, and I'll be back with a quick parting shot.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees.
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones. Don't even. And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
Hey, Hard, what's this? That's my resignation letter. You're resigning. Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit. I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me. Okay. But remember, it's not what you say. It's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Being prepared is a part of who you are. But it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is The Bill Press Show.
Now, you can't expect a president to know everything about every possible threat that could come from anywhere on the globe. But that's why they have daily intelligence briefings. 17 intelligence agencies, in fact, they all cooperate to give that president the daily briefing every single day. Well, that's the way it used to be, but as we just discussed with Josh Lederman, that's not the way it may be under Donald Trump. He already says he doesn't trust the intelligence agencies, and he told us over the weekend he doesn't want those intelligence briefings anyhow because he knows more than the intelligence agencies do. In other words, we've gone from a know-nothing candidate to a know-nothing president, and that is scary. That's it for today, folks. Come back tomorrow.
This
We'll be
is The
looking for
Bill
you.
Press Show.